today. We have an excellent crowd of explorers here. Thank you so much for joining us. My name is Amanda Malone. I'm from Roseborough Travel. I'm one of the owners alongside Tiffany Clay. I think most of you know Miss Tiffany. So we, on behalf of us and our entire team at Roseborough, all of the ladies in the team in blue, will you all raise your hand, please? All right, our whole team at Roseborough Travel, we would like to welcome you and thank you for joining us. We love it when it's tight quarters like this. It just means you get to bond with friends and maybe bring some more people along on these trips with you, right? So we are going to talk about Alaska and great trains of the world, great trains of Canada, great trains of the U.S. today, and we have some spectacular speakers. We are going to go ahead and start it out totally on the Alaska page, and we have Mr. Ted Knight from Princess Cruises who's going to start us off. So go ahead, come on up, Ted. Welcome. We have a lot of people ready to listen to you.
All right. So I have a very difficult job. So see, she's recording me over there. So if I walk back and forth, you'll be watching her going like this. I kept trying to figure out which was my good side. I'm not real sure. Anyway,
you have to go like this, Ted, the whole time.
You got the widescreen? I have a very difficult job. I live here in the Orlando area, and I've been to Alaska 59 times. They send all over the country to teach Alaska. It's an incredible place, and Amanda has made me swear to keep this to about 20 minutes. So it's going to be difficult, but I'm going to kind of introduce you to the world of wonder that I call Alaska. So as we get into this, we're going to talk about glaciers, we're going to talk about timing, we're going to talk about a lot of things, and we'll try and get through this as we get, within the 20 minutes. Here's an example of some of our ships coming into glacier areas, which we'll talk about a little bit more. As we come into the glacier areas, the ships come in, get within about 300 feet, 100 yards of the glacier, and then they rotate on their axis like this, so everybody can get up close and personal with the sights and sounds of Alaska. Imagine sitting down on your balcony, and we will bring you the wonders of Alaska to your feet. We'll give you wool blankets to try and keep you warm. Or you can be like my wife, she takes the wool blanket and then takes the cover off the bed as we sit outside. We reach inside, pick up the phone, and call room service. We sit there, relax, and we bring you the wonders of Alaska to your feet. When we all start talking about Alaska, it's important to understand what we're talking about. We're talking about a state that's 2,400 miles long by 1,400 miles wide. If we put it in the continental United States, it would go from Charleston, South Carolina, to Minneapolis, St. Paul, to Long Beach, California. That is the size of the state of Alaska. And yet, more people live in Seminole County than the entire state of Alaska. That's right, make sure you understand that. More people live in one county here around the Mouse House than the entire state of Alaska. There are more hotel rooms on Daytona Beach than the entire state of Alaska. So it's important that you understand, because it's a massive amount of land with a minimum amount of infrastructure. So that's why it's so important to understand how to create the perfect Alaska experience. There are two types of cruises in Alaska. One's called an Inside Passage cruise, the other one's called the Gulf of Alaska. And this is really true on all of us, all cruise lines. Basically, one originates in either Seattle or Vancouver, comes up into a certain area like Skagway, Haines, Juneau, and then turns around and goes back. We call those the Inside Passage cruises. And they're okay, but I don't necessarily recommend them for us here in Florida. If you're going to go to Alaska, my suggestion is go as far away as you got to go, slowly work your way home. When you do the round trip Inside Passage, and this is true of any cruise line, generally your mountains are about 5,500 feet tall. If you get up into the Gulf of Alaska from Glacier Bay, which is right there, on up, your mountains are 14,500 feet tall. If you do the Inside Passage and you don't do Glacier Bay, you're looking at about glaciers that are about 55 to 60 feet tall. Glacier Bay to Prince William Sound, they're 500 feet tall. And 80% of your aquatic wildlife lives between Juneau and Prince William Sound College Fjord. One of the biggest things you have to understand is in order to find the wildlife, you have to find the food. Find the food and you'll find the wildlife. That's very important when you're looking at something of the size and scale of what we call the state of Alaska. All right? So in the limited time I have, I'm going to kind of jump into this, and we're going to kind of go over the cruise a little bit, and then we're going to talk about the land, which is when we cover the rail part of it, where the train comes into play, okay? As you come up the Inside Passage, your first port of call is something like Ketchikan. Princess, we won a number of awards. We have all these programs going on the ship. Every day we have talks, lectures, discussions. We want to engage you, we want to educate you, we want to entertain you. We want you to sit back, relax, and be engaged and understand the magic of Alaska. And that's what we do every day when we're on board the ship. Some of the ships will also have what's called a medallion, which I can go over another time. But it's really a game changer. It's absolutely wonderful. It's like if you've ever been to Disney and you've had the magic bands. It's kind of like the magic bands, only a little bit better. This you can put in your pocket or whatever. You walk up to your cabin door, it unlocks. Imagine like what I do when we're going on a cruise in the Caribbean. You know who the mule is. I'm the one carrying all the luggage as we come to the cabin, right? My wife has her purse and I have everything else. So we come up to the cabin, and with my medallion, the door unlocks. I don't have to put anything down. I push my arm down, I open it, throw the bags on the bed, and I tell my phone, or I could tell my TV, which is interactive, I want a beer, a Diet Coke, and 2 hot dogs by the pool in 30 minutes. So we head upstairs to the pool, and in 30 minutes we have 2 hot dogs, a beer, and a Diet Coke delivered. They always give me the beer and my wife the Diet Coke, and then I have to switch it. But that's just, the medallion is a game changer. It allows you to do what you want, when you want. It's an incredible program. It's free. It's available on most of our ships now as we run through. More importantly, the Wi-Fi access on this has been absolutely fantastic. You're going to come up the Inside Passage. This is a living, breathing sea highway, and you're coming up into an actual rainforest. Who would have thought you would go all the way to Alaska to get into a rainforest? Alaska is a very strange state because the further north you go, the hotter it actually becomes. And that's a little counterintuitive. But this southern part of Alaska, southeast part of Alaska, is an actual rainforest. So guess what it's going to do? Rain. A lot. We measure rain in feet, and we average about 12 feet of rain a year up in this part of Alaska. Here's Ketchikan, National Park room back down there. There are no roads into this part of Alaska. Everything must be flown in or floated in. Historic section. Ketchikan is one of the main stops in Alaska, and time constraints, I'm going to move forward here. But see how Ketchikan is on the Inside Passage? One of the important parts about picking out the perfect Alaska cruise, make sure Ketchikan is on the itinerary. Because any ship that doesn't call on an Inside Passage city is not allowed in the Inside Passage. There's a speed limit on that passage. So if they don't call on Ketchikan or Juneau, by law, they come out into the Gulf, go up, and then head on from up there. You miss the entire Inside Passage. So Ketchikan is kind of important to make sure it's on the itinerary. Juneau State Capitol, looking down from Mount Roberts. This is the airport right here. Float planes take off and land. The most famous bar in all of Alaska is right here. It's called the Red Dog Saloon, and you'll notice it's within walking distance back here. Around the corner is Minnehaha Glacier. Around that corner on the other side of that is Off Bay, which I'll talk about in just a second. But this is Juneau, which is the state capital. Here's Red Dog. Now this picture was taken the 3rd week of August 2 years ago. 3rd week of August 1 year ago, well, a year and a half ago, the flowers were gone. 3rd week of August last year, now that the flowers were gone, all the mud was gone because they had too much rain. So you just never know what the weather's going to bring. Which brings up the biggest question I'm asked frequently is, when's the best time to go to Alaska? And for that, you really need to ask yourself what you want to see. Because Alaska has 3 very different seasons in the summer, and they're entirely different from each other. Springtime is mid-May to mid-June. You have snow-capped mountains, flowers are blooming, trees are blossoming, animals are moving. It's a beautiful time to be in Alaska. It's the driest time of the year, the best chance to see the mountain. So that's springtime, mid-May to mid-June. What you don't have in springtime is the salmon have not come to the rivers. So since the salmon haven't come to the rivers, the predators haven't come to the rivers. Remember the saying, find the food and you'll find the wildlife. So in May and June, the salmon are out here in these massive circles outside the harbors, hundreds of thousands. The last count I saw was 100 million salmon came home. But until they hit that river, all that food's out here. the predators don't bother coming down. But when the salmon hit the river in late June, starting in July, depends on tide, depends on moon, again, 100 million salmon come home. So when all this food comes to the mouth of the rivers, guess where the predators come? Find the food, and you'll find the wildlife. Okay? So that's why peak season is so important. Peak season is a massive opportunity to see some incredible wildlife. Peak season is from 3rd week of June, 3rd week of August. Great time for wildlife. The weather's going to suck, honestly. It's going to rain. You're probably not going to see Denali at that time because of all the weather up there, right? So that's the trade-off. You're only going to see the mountain about a third of the time, but you're going to have an abundance of wildlife. And then the last season is late August, early September, which is when I like to go. Late August, I'm at the end of the salmon run. The salmon are still in the rivers. The bears are still down. Eagles are still out. Kids are back in school. Everything settles down a little bit. Weather moderates. I like the end of August. I think it's great. And if you're up there before around September 5, you're still going to see an abundance of salmon. So those are your 3 seasons. Dramatically different. They all offer something. This is Mendenhall, and depending on the cruise line, this is maybe the only glacier you get to see, and that would be outside of Juneau. We'll talk about glaciers in a second, but the thing to remember about Mendenhall, the closer you get to this ice, the less oxygen there is in the water. There's no oxygen in that water, which means there's no life in that water. That's really, really, really important to remember. As that mountain has come down the mountain, as that glaciers come down the mountain, it brought the mountain with it, and it's full of rock and soot and debris. No oxygen means no life. Okay? One of my favorite shore excursions is here in Juneau. It's called the Whale and Wildlife Cruise. We guarantee you wildlife. This is an example of whales bubble netting working together. That's their mouths open as they come exploding up out of the water. This is a very important place to see wildlife, Auk Bay in Juneau, Alaska. This was my buddy. Yeah, something pretty cool about looking. It's only me and the Orca at this point. It was actually a very cool experience. All right, so that's Juneau, state capital, access to the outback areas, even some great wildlife. Next, as you come up the Inside Passage, if you see at the top there is Skagway. We've all heard the phrase a one-horse town. Skagway is a half-horse town. We're a small community, but we're finally connected to land. For the first time on our cruise, we're actually connected to land. So there are a number of different shore excursions. Here's a great opportunity to do one of the best shore excursions in Alaska, and that's called the White Pass Railroad. Speaking of railroad, this is where the White Pass Railroad is. It's a really cool, you can do a 4-hour trip, a 6-hour trip, an 8-hour trip. You can go as far up as you want. You can go all the way into Yukon if you want. It's a narrow gauge railroad that was completed, unfortunately, after the Alaska Gold Rush, but it is the #1 tourist attraction now in the state of Alaska, so it's pretty cool. I got to tell you, it's a lot of fun, but you cannot have a fear of heights. Absolutely right. From there, this is what separates Princess from our competitors. I got to keep going here. Our next stop with Princess is what's called area called Glacier Bay. We all know you want to see a glacier, but not all glaciers are created equal. When you come into a glacier area, Hubbard, Malaspina, or a number of different glaciers, there's no limit there because there's no life there. We go into an area called Glacier Bay. You'll see Glacier Bay is up there. And think of your hand as Glacier Bay. The bay itself is 65 miles across. Everything that floats, flies, or swims eats in this bay. This is where mom brings her babies. This is one of the most important parts of all of Alaska. And the government only allows 2 ships a day in Glacier Bay. So there's 40 some odd ships in Alaska, but only 2 ships a day are allowed in Glacier Bay. And that's what separates Princess from our competitors. Princess and Highland, we have 80% of the profits to get into this bay. You come into the bay at 65 miles across of wildlife, you come back into the finger, there's your first glacier. Out of that into the second finger, sail by the third, and come back out at 65 miles there. It's a great, great opportunity. As you come out of Glacier Bay, you're going to continue north. Every Princess cruise that goes north-south or south-north, every single cruise that goes 7 days up or back has 2 glaciers instead of 1, 2 glaciers, and one of them you're guaranteed Glacier Bay. Here's Prince William Sound, College Fjord. Just kind of give you an idea of scale. We talk about trains now, you know. We talk about cruises a little bit. I'm going to get to a map here in just a second. But as we come into Whittier, which is Prince William Sound, College Fjord, our clients, our passengers, you actually get off our ship and get on our train and go direct to the mountains. This is an incredible opportunity for you to sit back, relax, and enjoy. It's really cool. For those that got off, I was doing northbound on this one, as they got off the ship, they were getting on the train. There's the public cars and the Princess cars. I'll show you a little bit more. And once I get to the map, I'll show you how it all works. But with Princess, you can actually spend more time in the mountains and less time in the cities. I thought I had a map here someplace. Where's it? Where's my map? There it is. Okay. So, when we talk about cruises, if you're just going to do a cruise in Alaska, my recommendation is you leave Florida and go as far away as you got to go. So that would be up to Alaska. Fly into Anchorage. Go in a day early. For God's sakes, don't try to go on the same day the ship leaves. People do, and they make mistakes, and the flight cancels, and it just gets real messy. So always go in at least a day before. Okay? Fly to Anchorage. Cruise the next day. We can kind of help you plan something that morning if you want to get back into Prince William Sound. We can do some pretty cool stuff. Sail southbound and then fly home from Vancouver on the way back. It's easier on your body. Leave Florida, go as far away as you got to go. That's the longest day of your trip. You're tired, you're cantankerous, you're hungry, but you're there. Okay, so now you can start working your way slowly back home. You relax on that cruise coming south, and when you get off the ship in Vancouver, you're only 8 hours from Central Florida. Great opportunity for us to do this. When we look at land and we look at the train, this is where things get a little bit interesting. Because with Princess, we actually run our own train line from the pier direct to the mountains. Or if you do what I suggest you do, leave Florida, fly all the way to Alaska, do your land first, and then relax on that cruise coming down to Vancouver. That's the easiest thing to do on your body, right? We've got 3-day lands, 4-day lands, 5-day lands, 6-day lands, 7-day lands. You might as well move their lands. And you will determine the time you want to stay. Debbie's got some group space for next summer. We've got some space, a little bit left this summer, not much. Remember, there are more hotel rooms on Daytona Beach than the entire state of Alaska. So tours go early. That's the one thing to remember. So I'm about running out of time, but I just want to kind of share some final thoughts with you here. With Princess, we own 5 lodges in Alaska. We own them. They're ours. We have direct control. 5 minutes. She's going. I've got electronic prod in my back. All right.
I don't have a cane, so I won't be down.
Right, so we own 5 lodges in Alaska. You know, Fairbanks, Princess, Denali. We have 2 lodges at the park, and the reason we have 2 lodges at the park is because each provides a different opportunity, right? The one at the southern end, the McKinley Princess Lodge, has a straight shot at the mountain. I'll show you that in a second. The Denali Princess Lodge, which is where the tours go into. Train rides from basically the pier with Princess. You can fly to Alaska, do the land, spend all your days on land, last night in the park, board the train at 12:30 the next day, and we bring you down to the pier. So you get to spend more time in the park and less time in civilization. It's just a fantastic way to go. Back up here a second. Hey. Okay, so here's the breakout of the train. We got section dining cars, outside viewing sections. I'm running out of time, so I gotta hurry. So here's the train leaving in the morning. These are the people that went northbound, and now they're gonna head off to the park. Okay, these are the ones going northbound. It takes roughly 6 hours from Whittier to Talkeetna. Give or take an hour or 2, depending on how wet the railroad, how wet the grounds are. It takes 4 hours to get from basically this point to Denali, and then another 4 hours to get up to Fairbanks by train. Our cars are absolutely incredible. Sit back, relax, glass dome roof cars. There's an example. I was hanging out the side of one. We have a viewing platform where you can actually stand outside and take pictures and watch the world go by. You know, other cruise lines have windows. We have a whole platform. So it just makes it great. Relax, enjoy. Everybody gets to sit in the dome car when they're not eating. All right, this is some of the scenery. Thought I had another picture. There's a long story about me and Bill up here, but here's just, it's a great way to see Alaska itself. Into Denali, heading up towards Fairbanks. You see it? Look up. Yeah, look up. That's why you have to really, really watch out for it. All right. So, and this is a picture of Denali taken from the back porch of the Princess Lodge at Mount McKinley. Now, mind you, I'm sitting here in shorts, flip-flops, and a shirt, and a t-shirt, and it's 12 midnight. I wanted you to see what I saw. I'm in 70 degrees. Everything above 14,000 feet never thaws, it's always frozen. So because of that, you don't get to see the mountains a lot in the summertime. That's why the heat really makes it difficult to see. So with Princess Alaska, we have ships that go northbound, southbound. We want direct trains from the heart of Alaska down to the pier. You can fly to Alaska, spend more time at the parks, if you want to go to Fairbanks, or the trains come down to the pier. When you take a Princess cruise, you're guaranteed, and you do north-south, you're guaranteed 2 glaciers, not 1, 2, and one of them's always Glacier Bay. So my time is up. I appreciate you listening. If you have any questions, come see me when we're done, but I hope you enjoy it. Thank you.
Good job, Ted. Thank you. Thank you for giving us such a great overview. You did really good with your time, too. We appreciate it. So, of course, how many people have heard of Princess before? Right? How many of you have been on Princess before? Excellent.
I got to wash a lot of cars here. Let's
right? How many of you have been to Alaska with Princess before? Excellent. Excellent. Ted, I have to tell you, when you were talking about the beautiful mountain and showing that it was midnight, that is one of the best things that I enjoy about going to Alaska, is you can extend your days early morning to late nights and you don't even realize that you're not even exhausted because it's sunny out and you're ready to go exploring. You're ready to go hike that mountain if you want to. Maybe not that one, but you can go enjoy the rest and everything that Alaska has to offer you. So next up, we're going to switch gears a little bit and go to a train trip. And Jean Rice from Mayflower Cruises and Tours is going to go ahead and come on up here and tell you all there is to know about the next amazing train adventure. All right, Jean, take it away. I'll give you a 5-minute warning.
Okay, no problem. All right, so who likes to travel on trains?
Woohoo!
Yes. Well, I have one that I think you're going to be really excited about because it actually includes 6 different trains that you get to go on in one trip. But before I start, I'm kind of known for reading a little funny, so I'm going to start with that first. And this is about a man and a woman who had never met before, and they find themselves assigned to the same sleeping room on a transcontinental train. Though initially embarrassed and uneasy over sharing the room, the two are tired and fall asleep quickly. He on the upper bunk and she on the lower bunk. Well, at 1 o'clock, he leans over and gently wakes the woman saying, "Ma'am, sorry to bother you, but would you be willing to reach into the closet to get me a second blanket? I'm awfully cold." "I have a better idea," she replies. "Just for tonight, let's pretend that we're married." "Wow, that's a great idea," he exclaims. "Good," she replies. "Get your own darn blanket." Not finished. After a minute, he farted. I think it's kind of cute. Hard to find good clean jokes. So, I better get down to business. Mayflower Cruises and Tours. Let me see how many have traveled with us. I'm not going to get as many as Princess. Oh, a few. That's okay, we're working on that. We're not as much of a household name, but we're getting there. You're going to see why. I'm going to talk a little bit about our company background because we're not as well known. In the beginning, we are a 40-year-old company. We were owned by John and Mary Stacknick, and since 1979. And in 2018, They were in their mid-70s and decided to sell the company. So recently, we were purchased by the Scenic Group. So many of you may have heard of Emerald and Scenic River Cruises in Europe. Some of you heard of that?
Yeah.
Okay. So we are now a part of a bigger organization. We are still a separate entity and still are Mayflower Cruises and Tours and operate that way. How many from Chicago area? Anybody from Chicago? Where our offices are in Lyle, outside the Chicago area. One of the nice things that we do is that we do home pickup with all of our programs. So if you have a group, we'll send you as a group. Otherwise, we'll pick you up at your home, take you to Orlando Airport, and bring you back. This is a very nice service that we do. And we also kind of encourage you to rebook with us by giving you as a couple $10 a day for every day you travel with us. So if you book another trip within a year with Roseborough, then you will be able to apply that $45, $50, whatever it may be, toward your next trip, which is kind of nice. We also use local and step-on guides with our trips. Some companies only use the motor coach driver. We don't do that. We have good trained people. We also, the step-on guides know the history, the heritage of the area. That's why we prefer to use the local guides, because they know it better than even our tour managers. Do we have any single travelers or solo travelers in the room? Okay, good. We're one of the few companies that offer what we call a guaranteed share for those that want to travel single. We will put you with another person of the same sex. Darn. I know. I might want to switch that around eventually. And non-smoking, but that way you don't have to pay the single supplement rate. You pay the twin rate. And if we can't find you someone to travel with, you'll get to go on the twin rate as well. So that's kind of a nice little deal that we do. For anybody in the room today, if you book within, well, any time with us, we'll give you an additional $25 per person off. That's $50 a couple for being a first-time traveler, which most of you would be. So right today, I'm going to go through just one tour. It's a great tour. We have a group set up for Roseborough. You have lots of time to make a decision on it. Well, you don't really, because you need to put a deposit down pretty soon, but you have lots of time to pay for it because it's not until July of 2021. So you can book your Alaska, you can book your Rocky Mountaineer rail for this year, and then you can book this one for next year, okay? So let me show you a little bit about it. So this is a 9-day and 14-meal program. And as you can see the areas that we're covering. It does cover a lot of ground, but the exciting part is the actual rail programs that you're going to do. So I have a quick little video that I'm going to show you. I think it shows you better than I go through every single slide, and it'll give you just a feel for the actual trip itself.
The Mile High City and the beauty of the Colorado Rockies, natural wonders and amazing national parks, the sound of the rails and the whirl of the whistle, the powerful hiss from a narrow-gauge steam railroad, cliff dwellings, home to the ancient ones, red sandstone formations, and a ride to the clouds. This is a journey and life-enriching experience for train buffs and soon-to-be train buffs, traveling the historic routes of the Old West on 5 scenic rail excursions aboard the most incredible railroads the U.S. has to offer. As your adventure showcases the most incredible scenery in the great state of Colorado. On Mayflower Tours Scenic Rail Holiday, Colorado's historic trains featuring 5 scenic rail excursions.
It's actually 6, so we have another one
Welcome to Denver,
added.
Colorado, the Mile High City, where you meet your tour manager and fellow travelers with a wonderful welcome dinner. After breakfast, you venture into Rocky Mountain National Park, a living showcase of the grandeur of the Rocky Mountains. With elevations ranging from 8,000 feet on the wet grassy valleys to over 14,000 feet at the weather-ravaged top of Long's Peak, the park is filled with breathtaking scenery and experiences. You continue along the Trail Ridge Road and enjoy a stop at the Alpine Visitor Center for an opportunity to learn more about this fascinating national park, the history, the flora, and the fauna. Today you travel to historic Leadville to board the Leadville, Colorado and Southern Railroad. Originating in the highest incorporated city in North America, the LC&S takes passengers along the Old Denver, South Park and Pacific, and Colorado and Southern lines to the Continental Divide. Mining and railroading were a large part of the local history, and you'll find it easy to step back in time on the Leadville, Colorado and Southern. While on board, learn about the fascinating history of the railroads, hear ghost stories and tales of the Wild West from your conductor while traveling north along the Arkansas River Valley. Rising up 1,000 feet from the valley floor, you will be greeted by spectacular views of Fremont Pass and the two tallest peaks in Colorado, Mount Massive and Mount Elbert. Later, you'll travel through scenic Monarch Pass and Curacanti National Recreation Area, where the scenery will take your breath away. Following breakfast this morning, you visit another of America's treasures, the Black Canyon of Gunnison National Park. Here you will witness some of the steepest cliffs, oldest rocks, and craggiest spires in North America. With 2 million years to work, the Gunnison River, along with the forces of weathering, has sculpted this vertical wilderness of rock, water, and sky. Then it's full steam ahead today as you board the Durango and Silverton Narrow Gauge Railroad, voted one of the top 10 most exciting train journeys in the world by the Society of American Travel Writers. This route winds through the spectacular and breathtaking canyons in the remote wilderness of the 2 million acre San Juan National Forest. The locomotives used today remain 100% coal-fired, steam-operated, and are maintained in their original condition. This evening, enjoy Sky Ute Casino Resort, where you may wish to give Lady Luck a try. Today you will learn more of the land of the ancient Pueblo Indians in Mesa Verde National Park. The fascinating cliff dwellings and culture of these people let us take a look into a society that existed approximately 1,400 years ago. Building elaborate stone communities, the Pueblos developed their own society that existed for some 700 years before disappearing. Archaeologists call them Anasazi, from a Navajo word sometimes translating as the Ancient Ones. Your day begins with an amazing ride aboard the Cumbres and Toltec Scenic Railroad, the original Rio Grande line. This is America's most spectacular narrow-gauge steam railroad. You'll enjoy lunch on board as you explore 50 miles of wild and rugged territory between Shaman, New Mexico and Antonito, Colorado, the highest point on the railroad. Today you enjoy another journey by train aboard the Royal Gorge. The 12-mile route follows the most famous portion of the Old Denver and Rio Grande Western train line. You ride through the Grand Canyon of the Arkansas on an unforgettable journey over the famous hanging bridge attached to the This morning in Colorado Springs, you visit the U.S. Air Force Academy, rich in history and honor. You'll have an opportunity to walk the grounds and take photos. Then it's on to the stunning Garden of the Gods, a 1,300-acre park where flora and fauna reflect the rich diversity of the terrain, and red sandstone formations tell a unique geological story. The garden lies at the base of Pikes Peak, your next rail adventure. You'll ride to the clouds aboard the Pikes Peak Cog Railway, the highest cog
That's
railway
down
in the
this year.
West.
It's just coming back in
This
21.
outstanding scenic rail experience
They've refurbished it all.
miles long as it vertically climbs to almost 14,000 feet. Now that's a memorable grand finale to your Colorado's Historic Trains holiday. Your 9-day scenic rail holiday includes the services of a professional tour manager, 13 meals, round-trip airport transfers, 5 seated rail excursions following historic routes of the Old West, traveling north along the Arkansas River Valley aboard the Leadville, Colorado and Southern Railroad, a ride aboard the Durango and Silverton Narrow Gauge Railroad.
Okay, to save time, they're just going to repeat the back. I'm going to move on to the next one here. And by the way, that had 13 meals. It does include 14 meals. We've added another meal. That video's a little bit older. So we go into Denver, Colorado, and they call that the Mile High City. For what reason? Mile High. It's a mile high above sea level, right? Very good, very good. So pictures of what we're going to be doing, and it pretty much shows it all on the video. So I'm not going to go into a lot of depth, but we do Rocky Mountain National Park, Long's Peak. Here the elevation is about 14,000 feet that you're going to go up into. And again, the nice part about this trip, if you are a train buff or want to be a train buff, this is a great trip because you get to really experience, the old steam trains. It's like going back into time and really enjoying it. Even for those that have been to Colorado and the surrounding areas, to do it by rail is a whole different experience that I hope you will consider. So again, that's the Leadville, the Durango, and Mesa Verde. You get really the history there in that particular area. Kolick, Gorge, Colorado Springs, the Garden of the Gods, and the U.S. Air Force Base, and this beautiful chapel that you will go and see toward the end, and then we do a farewell dinner at the end. So the cost for this is $3,499. It's September, it's a July date. I missed on that, my apologies. It's July 16th date. Twin rate is $3,499, and you would get round trip air from Orlando, from Roseborough. They would give you the rate on that. And because you're here attending today, we will give an additional $100 per person off of that rate, plus your first-time traveler of $25. So I hope you will consider joining us. And I thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Very good. You're welcome. Does anybody have any questions for Jean?
Any questions? I have plenty of flyers back on my table. If you'd like to come and get a flyer, we'd love to have you join us.
Very good. I will offer Rose, if you don't mind hanging out at the bar for just a second. If anybody wants to refill on their drink, now's the time to get it. All right, so we're going to go ahead and start the next set of presentations with Andy Fuentes from Oceania Cruises. All right, can everybody hear all right? Can everybody get watered and fed a little bit? Right, water. We need to make sure we're hydrated. Hydrated, very well hydrated with the whiskey. So if anybody, I'm going to go into a little story first. This is Alaska and the out west and the trains trip. So we said we had to have a themed drink. The themed drink is Northern Lights, and it has whiskey, peach schnapps, orange juice, cranberry juice. And most of you who have traveled with me or know me know that I have a child. She's 5 years old. She's a little crazy. Her name is Aurora, after the Aurora Borealis. So, and if you guess what her middle name is, we can talk about that in the next presentation. All right, so without further ado, we're going to go ahead and start off with Andy Fuentes from Oceania, and he's going to tell you about all of the amazing things that Oceania does, where they go, what they do, but additional to that, to an extremely interesting and amazing itinerary that they're offering. So go ahead, take it away.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it. Well, good afternoon, everybody. So I'm going to ask the question, just like everybody else, who has been on an Oceania cruise? Okay. Who has heard about Oceania?
Yes.
Who has been on a cruise, period? Fantastic. All right. So you got everybody participating. So my name is Andy Fuentes. I'm the Business Development Manager for Oceania Cruises. And for those of you who have heard about Oceania Cruises, what is the one thing you've always heard about Oceania? Okay. I heard expensive, which we'll talk about that in a second. Let's get it out there, okay? But everybody that I've talked to usually say one thing about Oceania. You all have the best food.
Yes, definitely.
The greatest food that there is in the industry, period. Well, the rumors are true. We actually are. We do have the finest cuisine at sea. Hence, I gained 30 pounds since I But, with that being said, there's other things that Oceania is known for. The first things are ships. So I've heard most of you have gone on other premium cruise lines, which is fantastic. Everybody has their own niche. But what I've heard is that folks want a little bit more intimate setting versus the 2,000, 3,000, 6,000 mega ships that are out there. Our ships are more 684 passengers to 1,250 passengers. Why is that important to you? Well, the most important thing is that the service level is a little higher when you have less people. Meaning to say that instead of a stateroom attendant attending 10 or 20 rooms, they attend maybe 3 rooms. Okay, so the service level is up in the stateroom attendant. Your wait staff, instead of waiting on 10 tables, they wait on 2 tables. Okay, so it's faster, better service. The guest to crew count on board an Oceania cruise is 2 to 1. Okay, on board our cruises, I'm going to tell you one little thing that's going to please everybody. There isn't any formal nights. You can leave your suits, your evening gowns at home, okay? Unless you want to, which most people bring maybe a sports coat or a fine dress to dress up. But folks, I would tell you, if you want to dress up because you want to take a good picture, unfortunately, we're not going to have photographers chasing after you to take a picture. We don't have the hairy chest band contest. We don't have the rock climbing walls. None of that. Okay? What we do is we honestly use the ship as a vessel to the ports of call, which brings up to the other one. We are known as destination specialists, meaning to say that we really go to those boutique ports, those hidden gems off the beaten path, because of the size of our ship. We're very port intensive. If you like days at sea, well, I have a great itinerary for you. It's called the 180-day cruise. There's a lot of days at sea on that particular itinerary. Okay? But we usually call on ports longer. We have overnight stays, and we are very port intensive with very little to no sea days. Okay? We talked about the finest cuisine at sea, which I'll touch on in just a second, why we're known as the finest cuisine at sea. I like this slide because most of you raised your hand been on a cruise. And this one, I call it the money saver cruise. I heard the gentleman right here say it's expensive, okay? Here's the thing. There's always 2 prices that you pay when you go on every cruise. Most of you are always honing on one price. When the second price comes around, you're like, I had a good time, put in the credit card. The first price is obviously the price to get on the ship. The second price is the price to get off the ship. When a little fairy touches your door and magically a little piece of paper appears, and you wake up, go to the bathroom on debarkation day, and you go, it's the bill. Okay? But again, most of you say, don't worry about it. Put it on the credit card, we had a great time. But what if I tell you that I can make the price of getting off your cruise close to 0? Are you interested? Yeah. All right. This is how. So, all specialty dining are complimentary and free. That's a savings of up to $45 per person per specialty dining. Okay? And I promise you folks, it's not in the price somewhere. It is absolutely free. Free Wi-Fi. Okay? We did a study that we found that over 55 folks use Facebook more than millennials. Fun fact. And they bring their gadgets with them. iPads, iPhones, laptops, you name it. Okay? So that's why we make Wi-Fi free on board all of our cruises. All non-alcoholic beverages are complimentary. We even go a step further and do local transportation, meaning that we take care of your taxis, your Ubers, your Lyfts, all complimentary. And we include airfare in every single one of our itineraries. Airfare from Orlando, Tampa, or Miami, or other gateways throughout the United States. Okay? Now, I know what you're thinking. Andy, what about alcohol? We're drinkers. You go to the bar. We got a bar break. We're drinkers. What about excursions? Is that included? Absolutely. We have a promotion called All Life Choice, which include at least one of those, whichever is important to you. You can do your shore excursions or a alcoholic beverage package, which is beer and wine, okay? Or you can upgrade your beverage package for $20 per person per day and you get open bar. Now, it's not an up to price. Is there anything excluded? No. Open bar is open bar. Anything, anytime, anywhere. Now, if one person upgrades, the other person does not have to upgrade. Also, on board our cruises, you can bring up to 3 bottles of wine per person. In addition, when you bring those bottles of wine, we do not confiscate it away from you. We let you have it. We're more of the adult cruise line, okay? So, but there's a catch. If you bring your bottles in any public areas, there will be a corkage fee. If you drink in your stateroom, have at it. I recommend to get the chocolate plate as room service. It has 5 different styles of chocolate, and now of course you have your bottle of wine. You'll thank me later. Okay? So let's talk about a little bit of ships. So I'm going to show you a video on the average day of what an Oceania cruise is.
Volume 66.
You cannot be fake while you are serving to anybody. If you like somebody, it will come automatically from your heart and it will show on your face and your eyes. So you cannot fake it.
In Nepal, we live together in one family. Whoever comes in our house, we serve them as a god. So guests for us, they are like a god.
One of our general managers wanted to surprise a couple by having them renew their vows on board. They went on a sort of reconnaissance mission. They asked some questions about their actual wedding. And there in the library, we had champagne, our team baked a cake for them. They made a difference in that couple's lives that day.
It's real because the crew is real. The people on Oceania, there are no numbers. They're all friends, they're all guests. And this is how we treat them.
And that's what makes it nice, because they care. When I come on board any of the Oceania ships, I feel like I'm coming home. I don't have to put on airs, I don't have to act any different than I normally do, and I relax.
What happens is when we see people over and over, they really become friends and family. We really have a connection.
They treat you like a family member.
We feel cared for. Cared for and served.
It doesn't matter how great your ship is, how wonderful your silverware is, what kind of artwork you hang. It's just material stuff. It's the people on board those ships that make the difference. When you're served a cup of tea on board, you're not just being served a cup of tea. It's coming with this sense of pride. And our people are true, they're real, they're genuine.
I think the greatest satisfaction that comes with the job is seeing people coming back at the end of the day and saying thank you, that was awesome. It's not every day that you can create a memory for someone. Yeah, that's thrilling.
What I love about the Oceania Cruises family is exactly that. It's the family. It's just incredible. There's nothing like it.
So who wants to go? All right. So let's talk about the ships. Now, I'm pressed for time. I'm going to talk about the ships that goes to Alaska, which is the regatta, part of the regatta class. Those are 684 passenger ships. This is actually what it looks like. It's the entrance of the ship. Okay. A very home style. I think it does have a chandelier. It does. Very home style. That's how my house looks. I mean, come on now. This is how my dining room looks like. Okay. That's how my living room looks like. This is actually one of my favorites, martini bars. Actually get 2-for-1 happy hour every single day. And it's not just one hour of the day. It's spread out throughout several hours of the day. So my favorite one is of course at 11 p.m. to get a nightcap. Go ahead and do a little martini, 2-for-1. The average price for drink when you put that 2-for-1 happy hour is about $4 Okay. This is how the penthouse suite looks like and the veranda look like. So all of our ships of the R class, the regatta class, are 684 passenger ships. They are 97% verandas. Okay. We have very little interiors and oceans, and the price difference between ocean view and verandas, that's not that much. So what is to do on our ships? So we have a lot of things to do. We do have the Aquamar Spa right now. We do wellness tours as part of a shore excursion. So if you want to do yoga or Tai Chi, meditations, you have that. We have spa treatments. We even went a step further. I think we kind of flirt with the line there. And now we have Botox on board our cruise. Okay? So, bring it out there. We do have nightly entertainment on board. We do have Las Vegas style shows. We have great musicals. We do have magicians, comedians. We do have one show a day because remember, we don't need two shows as the size of the ship is a little bit smaller than most of the vessels. Okay. We do have lecture series on board. We have culinary classes on board. We do have a casino, non-smoking. Monte Carlo style, so a bit more intimate. Okay. Do art classes, culinary classes, as I mentioned. And also the finest cuisine at sea. The reasons why we have that title is because of that man right there, Jacques Pepin. Jacques Pepin has recruited chefs from all over the world. His thing is that everything has to be made to order. Okay? There's nothing frozen. There isn't anything that they partially cooked in the morning. Everything, when you order something on our restaurant, it is made right there and then. We also have a fresh seafood program, fresh produce program. And you see when the ship docks at port, our chefs go out and pick produce and seafood from local farmers markets from a port of call. In Alaska, when you order Alaskan salmon on board a cruise on Alaskan itinerary, that is an authentic Alaska salmon that was picked out probably that very day. Okay? All right, so this is the grand dining room. Grand dining room, there's no 6 p.m. dining, there's no 8 p.m. dining. You can come and go as you please. Okay? You can sit down with folks, or you can sit down by yourself. You can pick a window, anything you like. Okay? The specialty dining rooms on board the regatta, we do have the Polo Grill. They also have the 30-day dry-aged USDA beef. And also you have lobster you can pair up with the surf and turf. Lobster is from Maine. We have a father and son team that picks out our lobster and brings it back on board. Remember, this is complimentary. There isn't any additional cost. Toscana's our Mediterranean restaurant. Again, these specialty dinings are complimentary on board Regatta. And Terrace Cafe is our casual dining room. There you can have lobster tail and grilled steak every single day if you like. There is no additional cost. Okay? So like I said at the very beginning, this is how your cost of your cruise at the very end is going to be close to zero. Okay? Now, where do we go? We go all over the world. Because of the schedule we have right now, I'm going to talk a little bit about Alaska. But we do go around the world. We do 7-day cruises up to 180 days. If you looking for another itinerary that's not up here, come visit the table, make an appointment with Roseborough Travel. They will let you know what is the pricing and what's included on that particular trip that you're looking at. But since we're talking about Alaska, first I'm going to tell you our promotion right now for Alaska. So remember I told you at the beginning, you get to pick one. For Alaska, you get everything. So you get round-trip airfare from Orlando, Tampa, or Miami. You get your excursions, you get a beverage package, and you get shipboard credit. Not to mention the inclusions that I told you at the very beginning. Okay, and what do we go to Alaska? I'll go back here in just a second. We go to Ketchikan. We do the inside passage. Ketchikan, Juneau, Skagway. We go to Hona. Now, you're going to see on these itineraries that we go to very different ports than other cruise lines, and because, remember, of the size of our ship. So Hona, Hubbard Glacier, and then Seward. I like this one, 14 days. Now you're getting into the inside passage, and you're going out, and you go to visit the Kodiak. Not many cruise lines visit Kodiak. All right, and Homer. How about the ultimate Alaska? Oh, it's Vancouver, Vancouver. So I go all the way to College Fjord and then back down to I'm sorry, goes to Humber Glacier, not College Fjord, and then to Vancouver. And then this one, in September, it goes from Vancouver up to Humber Glacier and into Los Angeles. Okay? Now, going back a few slides, we do have a pre and post cruise tour that you can do. The pre-land tour that we do is with my friend from Rocky Mountaineer. He's going to talk to you a little bit about Rocky Mountaineer, so I'm not going to steal his thunder. We're a very partner with Rocky Mountaineer in the Canadian Rockies. Okay, pre-cruise, you get on the ship in Vancouver and then you do your cruise. Post-cruise, we also do Discover Denali, where we take you to Anchorage, Talkeetna, Fairbanks, and Denali National Park. Okay, just like Ted said over there, remember the times of the seasons. It's very true. I've been to Alaska twice, not 50-something yet, but twice. Actually, I'm going again on my third one because actually I won a trip with Rocky Mountaineer. So, I'm going this summer. So yay me. So you can do Rocky Mountaineer to come back and see the thunder, or you can discover Denali. Or with this itinerary that I just showed you for 14 days, you can do both. And this 14 days turns into 22 days with pre and post cruise. So you can do the ultimate Alaska with Oceania. And remember, airfare's included. You can do your pre and post cruise tours. We will fly you to Anchorage, or we'll fly you to, or from Anchorage, we'll fly you to Vancouver. And remember, you get your shore excursions, alcohol, and shipboard credit, along with other things. But wait, there's more, okay? Because you're here with me, I'll give you a show special right now, a $200 shipboard credit if you, in addition to what I gave you, if you book by February 29th. It doesn't have to be Alaska, it can be anything else. $200 for Verandas and above, $100 for interior and ocean view. And I do have breaking news, okay? Breaking news right now. We have actually came to an agreement that Roseborough and Oceania Cruises are going to go, are going to sponsor a cruise May 2021, okay, from San Francisco to Vancouver. Prepaid gratuities are going to be included, airfare will be included, shipboard credit will be included, and some other goodies that I encourage you to make an appointment with Roseborough Travel to find out what those other goodies are. So if you can't make it for 2020, that's okay. Come join us for May of 2021. We're going to have a great time. Of course, Amanda's group are fantastic. So folks, that is all the time I have for today. Thank you very much, and take any questions that you have.
Any questions about Oceania? So, who's traveled in Oceania before? Very good. Any amazing experiences that you want to share? I know Rose has been to Alaska with Oceania. Debbie was just on Oceania recently in our office. Diane's been on Oceania. You want to share your Alaska experience?
Oh, I would love to share my Alaska experience. Hey everybody, I'm Rose. And I was on the regatta ship 2-3 years ago. I can't remember what, but oh my goodness. 2 things I need to remind you of. You already said them, but at the buffet, every night, lobster. At the buffet. Like, you can't say big deal. That's a big deal. I mean, not to mention the wonderful specialty dining that's included, but... It's crazy. The second more valuable, I think, information is that when you take a small ship to Alaska, like they have, you get an intimate experience that you won't get with any other cruise line. I love Princess, I love How America to Alaska, but they took the Kodiak little raft out, the crew did, went out, grabbed some glacier ice, brought it back on board for us so that we could all touch it and take pictures with it. I mean, you will not get that on the big ships. So definitely, Oceania and small ships, that is the way to go, man.
We do have that, by the way. We actually had a video that will tell you about the glacier ice. And we actually would do a step further. We actually make cocktails out of those glacier ice.
I was telling the office about that this morning. I remember when Rose came back. It was a great story. Yes, question.
Well, no, we go, our season is from May to September. But Roseborough Travel is doing a trip in May. Next year, right? It doesn't mean that, yeah, you're entitled to.
You can go on any of the itineraries, and one of our agents in our office is more than happy to help you on any date that works for you.
By the way, one little thing I forgot to say, and it's my little public service announcement that I always say at the end of my presentations. Folks, really make an appointment with Roseborough Travel. We as a cruise line, Oceania, give them the deals. If you talk to anyone's direct and say, can I get, because they have dates that they can get prepaid gratuities. They say, hey, I heard about Andy, I heard this guy named Andy, and he gave me a sale. Can you give me the same sale? They go, who's Andy? What are you talking about? Prepaid gratuities? Who did you talk to? We give the deals to them. And not only that, you see the expertise that's here. Folks have gone on our cruises. You know, Debbie just, oh, there you are. She just came from one. Actually, she gave me tips that I didn't know. Like the 2-for-1 happy hours throughout the day. She's the one that told me.
And I follow the happy hours. Yes.
So remember, folks, and we give them the deals, but also remember, you know, someone said you pay what you get. That's very true. But so remember what I told you. 2 prices to every cruise: price to get on, price to get off. Granted, that'll be a little bit high on the price to get on, but the value's there. We're going to be close to 0 on the price to get off. You saw Alaska right there. We just include everything.
And then if I can add again, that everybody else talks about the great food. It's all wonderful food, and yes, they have lobster and steak and all those things, but my husband loves a cheeseburger. So I have to tell you, they have they have a cheeseburger. It's there every day. They have Waves Grill on board. Cheeseburgers, anytime you want the things. They are phenomenal, they're great, and my husband did eat one every day. And our last day on the cruise, he said, I can't even eat anymore, but I'm having a cheeseburger. So I just want to add that because a lot of people think that it's so fancy. I mean, I know we don't all have a living room like Andy does. They think that might be a little fancy for them, and it's not. I mean, they have tea service every day on board. My husband was going and holding our spot because it was loaded, and my husband was going to keep our spot at the table for tea every day because it was so filled with people because it's a big deal, and every day they do that, and it is just wonderful. They bring out carts of pastries and scones and pies and everything and tea, and it was just a really great experience.
And that it's free?
And it was a really nice experience. So.
I've noticed where the 30 pounds came from.
So that's mine.
All right, folks, thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Now, a few of them have mentioned, and I've said it once already, but at the end of the event, Tiffany will be making appointments. This right now is what we call wave season. It's busy season for the travel industry as a whole. So if you are interested in any of these itineraries or other itineraries on these vendors, please set up an appointment with Tiffany at the end of the event for any of the advisors in our office or outside of our office. And we'll be happy to do that and get you the best promotions that our partners are offering to give to you. So I do want to let you know that before we go into our last and final presentation, and I think that it's one that you've all been waiting for. It's Paul from Rocky Mountaineer. So excited. Take it away. All right.
Thank you, everybody. And obviously, great products. You know, to be honest, please don't repeat this. I'm so glad my wife's not here. I have 2 years of travel planned, going to Alaska and going on Oceania and everywhere else in the trains. Wonderful. So I'm Paul Corrigan with Rocky Mountaineer. I'm the business development manager. I live in Florida. I'm not Canadian, but I get the best of both worlds. I get to go to Canada all the time. As you can see up here, 30 breathtaking years. Believe it or not, we are going into our 30th year of being in business. Isn't that amazing? 30 years. In 2017, and we're privately owned, privately operated train operator. In 2017, we had our 2 millionth guest travel with us. Of course, we need to thank people like Princess, because all the people that experience the great trains in Alaska, they come back wanting to do more. So thank you, Princess. But also, 2 millionth guest in 2017. Last year, we had our longest train in our history. Anybody want to guess how many coaches long? Any wild guesses? 30, guess?
42.
27.
I heard 42 is 41 coaches long. Is that amazing? We have a total of 65 coaches. We have another 10 added. We've doubled in size in the last 5 years. So really there's a lot of interest in the Canadian Rockies. And honestly, where our business comes from is when agencies like Roseborough sell their clients on a Rocky Mountaineer, the guests come back and they tell 10, 15 friends and they book more Rocky Mountaineer, and that's how we've grown. And also the support of Fuentes and Oceania and other companies like that. So, without further ado, this is a map of the world that we specialize in. So, one thing to keep in mind with Rocky Mountaineer, we are a train operator that packages and customized journeys around our trains to Western Canada. This is all we do. We are based in Vancouver. We are a specialist to the Canadian Rockies and Western Canada. So when you plan your trip to Western Canada with Rocky Mountaineer, you're getting expertise all the way throughout the journey with Rocky Mountaineer, and of course beautiful trains. Experiencing extraordinary. A lot of people when they plan a trip with Rocky Mountaineer, if they're not that familiar with us, they just want to experience a train, they go there thinking, I'm going to see the Canadian Rockies, gorgeous scenery, which is absolutely extraordinary. But when they come back, they talk about the train experience. And there's a thing in the industry called Net Promoter Score. I don't know if you've ever heard of it. It's how likely a client who experiences a product is to recommend that product. And all companies have a Net Promoter Score. In the travel industry, 60 is considered very good. Ritz-Carlton, which you all have heard of, 68. We got our Net Promoter Score for last year, it was 81. Wow. So it's basically phenomenal. So we're very proud of that, and it's what brings people back on Rocky Mountaineer. So we start our train journeys in Vancouver. You either start or end in Vancouver, but Vancouver's great. And so we match up with all the coastlines, and obviously Princess, Oceania. You can easily match up any of our train journeys out of Vancouver with their cruises. But we do a big ceremony in our train station. So guests from all over the world come to our train station. We bring you right there from your hotel. We transfer you over to the train station. We have everybody there. There's a grand piano, coffee, juice. We have like an introduction to the staff that's on board the train. We have bagpipe music. We also have a guest that blows the ceremonial train whistle. And that's your cue to go out to your coach by red carpet. And then you get to meet your host on board. You also get to escape to bagpipe music, which is always great. So people get excited about that. So Rocky Mountaineer, we operate April through October. We are daylight only travel. Anybody want to guess why we travel by daylight? The scenery, all right. So keep that in mind. If somebody says, hey, I heard about this other train that I can go on through the Canadian Rockies, that is less money. Guess what? They travel overnight, and they don't have 5-star service. But we do travel by day, and a typical day on board the train is you arrive at the train station, you have that big ceremony, we board the train, your host will be introduced to you. We start out with a mimosas toast. Meal service is all, yes. It's all inclusive, so all your dining's included. So we have breakfast and lunch on board, gourmet dining, gourmet snacks throughout the day, all your alcohol, beer, wine, cocktails. So throughout your day, you're going to be eating, drinking, and be marrying. And then also we see great sights along the way. And our host will give you storytelling and then tell you history of the area of the Rockies that you're seeing. And then one of the best things about Rocky Mountaineer, to be honest with you, the train is awesome. But the fact that you don't sleep on the train is even more awesome. Because most people who have ever done that, they don't sleep very well. So with Rocky Mountaineer, we stop in an overnight location, and magically you get transferred to your hotel, and your bag is waiting for you. And you wonder, how did that bag get there before me? Well, that's a great thing. You're not sleeping on the train. You're sleeping in a normal bed and taking a shower in a normal shower. And you'll be very happy. For those who have ever slept on a train, get out the bed in the middle of the night and step in the toilet. You know what I mean? Great thing. Routes that transport you. One of the important things to remember is when you travel by train through the Rockies in Western Canada, you're going to a lot of places you can't get to by car or motor coach. And also, the trains are designed for maximum sightseeing. So they're full dome cars, And so you get to see all the sights of the area. This is a map of our routes, and you can see the 3 different color lines. Hopefully it's kind of hard to see, but green, blue, and maroon, and then all those blue diamonds are places where we package up hotels and overnight stays. I'm going to go into a little bit more of these. So, this is just a train portion departing out of Vancouver. So you, of course, come into Vancouver, we start there, we take you to the train station, we board, and then we head up to Whistler. This one overnights. This is the Rainforest of Gold Rush, goes into Whistler, which is famous for, anybody know? Skiing and the Olympics. And then you stay there overnight in Whistler, and then the next day you board the train, we go up to Quesnel, and then from Quesnel up into Jasper National Parks. The unique thing about Rocky Mountaineer is the trains actually go both directions. So they'll go from Vancouver all the way up to Jasper, and then the train turns around on that same route. Most people do not jump back on the train and go back to Vancouver. They'll either explore the Rockies and travel home a different way. These are just some sights that you'll see along the train. And then this journey through the clouds. Now this is a 2-day, a 1-night, overnight train. So again, you're on the train for 2 full days with an overnight in Kamloops. Starting in Vancouver and ending in Jasper, or you can start in Jasper and end in Vancouver. So you really have the option of where you want to start and what you want to see. So that's how you end up picking. And that's why you need a travel agent, because they're going to help guide you to the right route to choose, what you want to see, when you want to go, and where you want to stay. It's all customized. That's why you really need an expert. And then on this route, you see great sights. Kamloops, anybody been to Kamloops? Kamloops, that's one person, that's 2 people. Well, one thing, people always ask, what's there to do in Kamloops? Well, I said, well, Kamloops, there are no tourists other than Rocky Mountaineer guests there, because it's basically a train stop along the way, but you meet real Canadians. And everywhere you go, they love on Rocky Mountaineer guests. We are like the main show, and then it's along the Fraser River. They have music on the park every single night. They roll out the red carpet for us. They absolutely love the guests of Rocky Mountaineer. And the other thing that it's famous for is they do a lot of athletes go there to train on sports. Have you ever heard of that very exciting sport called curling? So if you're into curling, you'll see a curling training. And then more sights along the train route, journey through the clouds. And this goes right into Jasper, which is a wonderful national park up in Canada. It's the largest national park as well. And now this is our original route, First Passage to the West. So we've got 3 train routes. And First Passage to the West goes from Vancouver, Kamloops, right into Lake Louise and Banff. This was our original route. And I've got a short video that highlights this. Hopefully
as the vibrancy of Vancouver slowly evaporates in the distance, the majestic coast mountains rise up to greet you. And you find yourself on a historic journey that retraces the route of the great 19th century explorers. Let your imagination travel along with the first pioneers, across rushing rivers, through magnificent canyons, alongside sheer rock faces, but with the unparalleled luxury and service the early explorers could never dream of. Marvel in awe as you cut through ancient gray-green volcanic rocks that are 200 million years old. Well, give or take a million. Now you find yourself back in 1885 at Craigellachie, the famous site of the last spike, where Canada's east and west were finally united by 3,200 kilometers of track. With vivid historic imagery still in your mind, the awe-inspiring natural beauty continues to unfold before your eyes. Like those who came before you, your journey follows the Kicking Horse River deep into the breathtaking Canadian Rockies. Here's your chance to bring out your inner landscape photographer. Next up, the legendary Spiral Tunnels, which opened in 1909. Twist your way through the engineering marvel that proved to be the most difficult terrain to break on Canada's railroad. By now, you're as steeped in history as the vertical drops of the magnificent mountains you pass by. Postcard images continue to appear around every bend until eventually, world-famous Banff comes into view, and you're left wondering how it's possible to travel both forwards and backwards in time. The first passage to the west. Now, who says you can't travel through time?
Isn't that beautiful? I mean, it's an amazing trip. The scenery, just traveling by train, you really feel like you're part of the land that you're on. And, you know, it's just, of course, it's first class too, so you're wining and dining at the same time. That's not bad. And then we have our journey, circle journeys. These are, so what's become very popular, when people go to an area, they want to do it all, right? What do they call it? You only live once, the YOLO trips. So this is, a circle journey is combining two routes to give you more time on the train and do a whole circle. So that'd be doing the rainforest, the gold rush, the green line, coming back on the blue or the maroon, and that gives you as much as 5 days on the train. So that's really one really unique trip that you can do, and you'll get to see all of Western Canada and have a great trip there too. We have two service levels. You can see these coaches, they're custom designed for Rocky Mountaineer, and they are absolutely luxurious, very comfortable. We have the Silverleaf. This is a single level coach. It is an all-dome fleet, which is important when you're sitting in a seat and you're looking up at the top of the mountains. You can see them because it's a dome. And you'll see high ceilings here, big picture windows, lots of leg room. We also encourage socializing on Rocky Mountaineer. One of the things that's really unique is only 30% of our clients come from the U.S. So people are from all over the world. Our biggest market, anybody want to guess where they're from? What country? Canada. Not Canada. So you would think so. Nope, it's Australia. So you know what that means? Anybody travel with Australians before? You have no choice but to socialize. But there's a lot of leg room there, very comfortable. The service is impeccable. There's two hosts and one culinary employee on one Silverleaf car, dining and seat side. So the Silverleaf is going to be a little bit different than Gold Leaf. This is dining seat side. Everything's prepared fresh on board the train, hot, cooked to order meals. This is a custom bi-level dome, and this is the Gold Leaf. The Gold Leaf is really like a step up, gorgeous panoramic view, similar to what the Princess has there. You can see the beautiful views. Anywhere you sit, you'll have that. They have lumbar support, little heaters on there, leg rest. You'll feel like you're in like heaven. A separate dining section of the coach, a viewing platform, and I have a short video on the Gold Leaf. She was my hostess on my trip in April. I think she was sweet on me, but I don't know. My wife wasn't around. While we're all hungry and we're on between you and dinner, so I'm sorry, but we're going to go through this real quick. So some of the hotels, and the thing is with Rocky Mountaineer, you have a choice of your hotels you want to stay at. We have moderate all the way up to 5-star properties, so we can tailor the trip around your interest, where you want to put the money. Of course, we have the Chateau Lake Louise. This is a dream bucket list for almost most people that want to go to the Canadian Rockies, want to stay here. We have space there. Look at the beautiful hotel, gorgeous dining room overlooking. You can be out on a canoe on the lake, or you can be having lunch with your beautiful model wife or husband. We have the Fairmont Banff Springs, another Fairmont property, spa resort, wellness, great views. The other thing is, a lot of people who have been to Alaska before, they may have been to Vancouver and they only spent one night. You missed out on one of the most spectacular cities in all of North America, and this is part of our program. Gorgeous, look at the views there of Vancouver. And there's always these great neighborhoods. If you go in April, they have a cherry blossom. Beautiful scenes around the waterfront. We have hotels all throughout. When you look at your Rocky Mountaineer trips, we include a lot of sightseeing and activities. Some of the sightseeing activities will be like, tour of the city, hop on, hop off, and that kind of thing. We also have these more active trips, like if you want to do a high-speed boat ride or cycling or even that skywalk thing, we can arrange for that. We'll make you, sign a waiver and buy insurance. We will take care of you. I always recommend Victoria. If you've never been, you're in Vancouver, you're already flown out there at Victoria, Blue Shark Gardens. Banff, and here's something important fact. Banff is it gets as many visitors as Yellowstone National Park, but Banff is probably, of any national park in North America, has the best restaurants of any national park. You will have tons of culinary choices and the best hotels options. So it is a very popular place, very expensive place, but it's also a world-class resort that you can go to and have phenomenal dining. But you got also the scenery that is out of this world. And this is just some sights that you will see along. You have to bring your own hammock. That hammock, I think the guy takes it. Lake Louise, anybody ever been to Lake Louise? It's the world's most beautiful place. And this is a true pictures from Lake Louise. Jasper, and one thing I would say about Jasper, it's a dark sky preserve and a UNESCO World Heritage Site. So if you want to go see stars galore, Jasper is the place to go. And you have more waterfalls and all this stuff. And then Whistler's another stop. Calgary, anybody know what Calgary is famous for? Stampede. It happens in July. And wildlife. If you're into wildlife, like what Ted was saying, follow the food. Well, we got owls. We got the nicest bears in the world. They are nice. The people are nice, the bears are nice. We also have rams and eagles and elks, but there's also a creature there that is so rare and almost extinct, but you might get a chance to see that person. I don't think anybody else can claim to have a Bigfoot. We do. He was recently on CNN. Okay, so when to travel, I won't go too much into this for time's sake, but basically our spring is mid-April through May, and then summer, it's going to be June through like really early September. And then, or actually end of August, and September 1st through October 15th. They all have their advantages. The least expensive time to go, and most wildlife is going to be April, May for us. Autumn is a great time to go because you get the change of seasons. You also have the salmon spawning, so you'll see some wildlife there too. So when you look at a Rocky Mountaineer package, if you look in the brochure, you're going to say, oh, the price is high. But keep in mind, we include a lot of sightseeing in the pricing that you see there. We have ice explorers, panoramic helicopter, gondolas. If you were to add that all up and you're on a cruise or somewhere, or just paying for it on your own, you'd easily spend $500. So we build it in. You can take it out. If you don't want to do a helicopter flight scene, we can take that off your trip. And then I mentioned the cruise. Oh, we'll skip that cruise picture. It's part of the family. You can also explore at your own pace. If you want to do the Rockies, do the train with us, do the hotels with us, but you want to rent a car and drive around the Rockies, we can rent a car for you. Just watch out for the moose. These are some bestsellers. I just show you a couple of them. First Passage West at Leisure, 8 days, 7 nights, and you get 2 nights in Lake Louise, 2 nights in Banff. You can stay at the Chateau Lake Louise, and it's also got Vancouver, Kamloops, and Calgary. And all that sightseeing. Here's a 10-day trip, Journey Through the Clouds, 10 days, starting around $3,000 per person. Now keep in mind the hotels vary from moderate to deluxe. If you book Chateau Lake Louise peak season, it could be $900 Canadian. So it could be very expensive. Then we get some, but we have great rates on them, so don't worry. We do have this promotion. If you're looking for 2020, this is the best promotion we have. Plus Roseborough has a show offer, so you get a free hotel night, which you can add in Vancouver or Calgary, a free transfer, that'd be the airport transfer, and also a free dinner. And these dinners, a lot of people, when they stay, we always recommend do it at the Chateau Lake Louise. If you stay at that hotel, you're there, it's a 3-course, gorgeous gourmet dinner, and it would cost you $120 per person for this dinner. So it's a Instagram moment or Facebook. And that's your free dinner offer. And you have to book with the next couple of weeks to do that. Put your deposit down. And I have one last video. This is pretty
I grew up wanting to capture the memories that I saw around me. Wanting to be that guy, the guy that created the image that went with it. Trying to capture the essence of an experience because I don't want it to fade in my memory. I grew up in a Midwestern rail town with the sound of trains rolling by at night, the sound of their whistles. Those have always been magical sounds for me. I've traveled and painted all over the world. I've never been to the Canadian Rockies. And from the very beginning, from rolling out of Vancouver, every minute, every direction I looked, it was amazing. The thing that struck me most visually about the whole journey was the transitions between temperate rainforests in Vancouver to a semi-arid experience rolling into Kamloops. And then climbing into the Rockies, suddenly the plants changed, the gradients of the river changed. From the moment I stepped on, I couldn't believe the totality of the experience. It was visual, it was sensory in every aspect, from the food, the conversations, the sounds, like being surrounded by family. It's mind-blowing to have that perception of life, but then to get off Rocky Mountaineer and find out that getting there is just as good as the going. To actually walk into those vistas and have your feet on the ground and to breathe the air and feel the wind, the coolness of the wind off the snow is a priceless gift. The details of the journey on Rocky Mountaineer that will remain with me are those of looking at the track that we've just traveled on as we move away from the life I knew before the experience towards the life that I know now. Looking up the track and knowing that I'm on that train. I'm actually part of it. It's not just a train in the distance, but I'm connected. It's sort of an elemental experience, which I think all good art should be.
So he says like the getting there is as good as the going, and that's really what we try to deliver, and I love that. We have the nicest beers, I told you that before. But one last thing, it's like I've heard about Rocky Mountaineer for about 20 years. My father-in-law talked about doing this trip every single year. I've been married 27 years. So, but he put it off, and he had a heart attack. He's still alive, thank God, but he's afraid to fly. So this is one of, next to me being his son-in-law, is his biggest regret in not doing the trip. So the only thing I always say is like, you know, if you have a bucket list, if this is on your bucket list, put it there, prioritize it. And also do me a favor, take a look at the person to your left. All right, go ahead. Take a person, look at the person to your right. Now say to them, let's do this while we still can. All right.